What's up, guys? This is Zach with Top Deck Nation, and today we're going to be looking at Tord Reklev's first place winning list from North American Internationals, and that is going to be Drampa Garbodor. So as you might remember, the deck had a lot of hype as Guardians Rising was released, as Japan got the set first, and people kind of theory-mined the deck and kind of hyped it and speculated what Garbodor would actually be played with, what Drampa would be played with, and as you can see here, it finally made a huge splash into the format, getting a first place finish in what is possibly the biggest tournament of the season. If you weren't there, I think there ended up being over 1,350 players just in the Masters division. So I think that was a good 300 or 400 more players compared to last year. And that's because the International Series is actually open to the entire world. And that's because the International Series is actually open to the entire world versus just a single country. Last year we had US Nationals, and now it's Internationals, which is open to pretty much anybody without any sort of play points requirements or anything like that. So huge turnout this year. I had a chance to go myself, had a blast, still kind of exhausted, but I am pushing out this video so you guys can see the deck that won, get a bit of an insight of how the deck works, and we'll see a PTCGO battle as well. So if you are not familiar with the deck, we have Drampa-GX and Garbodor as our main attackers here, hence the name of the deck, of course. Drampa-GX has 3 attacks. All 3 of them are pretty darn good. We have Righteous Edge for 1 energy, does 20, knocks off a special energy, so it could be pretty good against things like Decidueye, maybe Giratina if you're worried about that. Pretty much anything that runs double Colorless, double Dragon, Rainbow, things like that. Berserk is probably going to be your best attack here. It does 80, but if any of your bench Pokemon have any damage on them, it does 70 more. And because Tord is playing a whopping 4 Choice Band, it's going to be doing 180 after the damage is included. So really good to just kind of one-shot pretty much anything in its path. And then finally, Big Will GX. This is your go-to setup card, your main GX attack in the deck. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 10 cards. So pretty much a beefed up Shaman. You can just kind of lower your hand down at the end of the turn for 1 energy setup, and you're pretty much good to go. You're probably going to draw into your Garbodors and whatever else you need. Now, as far as the other attacker here, we have Garbodor. We don't really use the second attack so much, but we might every once in a while if we're a little bit desperate. But Trash Lynch is your main attack here, 20 times the number of item cards in your opponent's discard. This one card has pretty much shaped the format, and I love that it's not even really an expensive card. You can pretty much pick it up for like $1-2 at your local shop or on websites like TCG Player, but it's a really cheap card, and the deck, it just works because for a single energy, you're really pressuring your opponent on not playing item cards. If you've seen our past deck profiles, you've seen me talking about how important item cards are. Things like Ultra Ball, VS Seeker, they really contribute to the flow of the deck in general. So without your item cards, yeah, you can still play supporters, but your item cards are really going to help speed up the deck and help you ultimately get set up and attacking really quickly. But without those item cards, you're going to be slowed down. Your opponent's going to have a whopping advantage against you, and it really puts a sense of psychological pressure on your opponent as well, because they might have a handful of items and thinking to yourself, if I play an N on myself or play a Sycamore, I'm wasting my resources. I'm not going to draw into what I need. But if I play the items, then Garbodor is going to be doing a lot of damage and knocking me out. So that's pretty much the goal of Garbodor here. Tord also opted to play the Garbotoxin Garbodor, which is also pretty much a staple at this point in these Garbodor decks because, why not play it? You're already playing Trubbish, so you can afford to play the Garbodor. But Garbotoxin, as long as you have a tool on it, it shuts off all abilities. So we don't really play many abilities in the deck anyway. When we need a supporter, Tapu Lele is great, but otherwise, Garbodor is shutting off everything you can think of, like Greninja, Volcanion EX, pretty much anything. Your opponent's Tapu Lele-GX's Shaman EX, which isn't played quite as much anymore, but you can see where I'm going here. So Garbotoxin really strong in an ability-based format. And then finally, one of Tord's unique additions here, he played 4 Tapu Lele-GX. Typically, you might play like 2 in the deck, or maybe split them with like Shaman or something like that, but 4 Tapu Lele. And I'm pretty sure this was specifically for like the Vileplume matchups, because he can now just kind of get a supporter whenever he needs to dig that energy out. He can teammates, he can bridge it, he can do whatever he wants to make sure he always gets set up. So, pretty awesome meta call in my opinion, because it really kind of shined in the finals against John Kettler. He was playing Decidueye Vileplume, so pretty favorable matchup in Tord's favor, I would say, because he has the Garbotux and Garbodor. He's got everything he needs to counter it. And so it was a really smart play, and he pretty much got the job done, winning that first place finish. That pretty much covers the Pokemon Go, guys. As far as the trainers go, our supporter count is pretty standard aside from a couple little things here. We've got the 4 Professor Sycamore and 4 N for consistency's sake, the 2 Lysandre just to kind of bring up cheap Pokemon. Maybe you have a Drampa with 3 energy on it and a Choice Band, so you just Lysandre up those Tapu Lele's for cheap knockouts. And then Brigette and Teammates. Now, Brigette we've seen, it's pretty common. It searches your deck for 1 EX or 3 basics. Now, we're not even playing any EXs. I'm sure the card developers didn't really mean for it to be this good with the deck, but it doesn't specify GXs with the basic Pokemon, so you can actually grab your Drampa-GX here. Now, it does put them directly on the bench, so if you put the Tapu Lele on the bench, it won't activate that awesome Wonder Tag ability, so just keep that in mind. But, you know, your go-to supporter is probably going to be Brigette your first turn, because you can attach your energy somewhere, you can Brigette for 2 Trubbish and a Drampa, and pretty much be good to go there. But the other addition here is going to be Teammates. You know, I haven't really seen this a whole lot in decks, but it looks like a lot of the decks in the top 8 actually played this card, and the top cut in general. Teammates is great if your Pokemon's knocked out. You can search for any 2 cards. You don't have to show your opponent. You just put them in your hand. So if you're missing that double colorless energy, you can just grab that. If you're missing a supporter for the following turn, if you need a choice band to make that math perfect, any kind of situation like that, Teammates is really, really good. So that's pretty much all the supporters he played. I mean, 4 Tapu Lele kind of balanced that out. He's not playing Trainer's Mel, any other supporters, Professor Kukui, anything like that. He went with a nice consistent line as well as that Tapu Lele. So he's rarely ever going to be whiffing on those supporters. Very, very consistent deck. And topping off our list, we have our items and our energy, of course. Your standard counts here: 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Verse Seeker, 2 Field Blower, of course. He opted to split his line here with a 1 Rescue Stretcher and 1 Super Rod. And I'm guessing he did this because he's only playing 5 Psychic Energy. Most of the time, these Garbodor decks are playing 7 or 8 Psychic Energy and 4 DCE. But as you can see, he's only playing 5 because he's opting to play Rainbow, so I can definitely see why he's playing the Super Rod. It's great that he has 2 different outs to get those Pokemon back in the deck, and Rescue Stretcher is great to get just any 1 Pokemon into your hand if needed. So if you discard the Garbodors early, get those back. If you need that Tapu Lele to get that 1 supporter, Rescue Stretcher is essentially acting like a Verse Seeker in some ways, so really strong. And then what I think is really unique here are the 4 Choice Band and 4 Float Stone. So especially the Choice Band here. 4 Choice Band is, you know, it's just really, really underrated card. Choice Band is just really strong. It's adding 30 damage to your attacks. If you played in the original formats where we had like plus power, stuff like that, you know, people thought that was really broken back in the day. I mean, Choice Band is, you know, pretty much 3 plus powers, and you're using it every single turn. So really, really strong. The 4 Float Stone is also strong because it assures that, you know, if you get hit by something, you just retreat out, and now you're kind of fueling Drampa's Berserk attack. It's also good just in a pinch if you're about to get knocked out, or if you need to draw into them really quickly to shut off like the abilities using Garbotoxin. So really strong there. And, you know, as we kind of covered a minute ago, the energy, he played 13 energy, so I'm guessing he's not really whiffing, especially with Tapu Lele and Teammates, really just able to burn through those energy cards when he needs to. He has the 4 DCE, the 4 Rainbow, and the 5 Psychic. So pretty interesting count of cards here in general. The 4 Choice Band, the energy counts here, the Teammates, and especially the 4 Tapu Lele. So he played a very unique list. I can't say it's a pretty standard list because it's several cards off. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be the first place winning deck list from the 2017 North American Internationals, piloted by Tord Reklev of Norway. And I should say that he's a very accomplished player, as was John Kettler in the finals. Tord, I think he's actually won 2 national championships before, and he top 4'd at the, I want to say either the not the North American, but either the Europe or Oceania Internationals. I'm guessing Europe since he's from Norway, but yeah, he did top 4 at an internationals. So really strong player, really consistent player. But yeah, that pretty much should wrap it up, guys. Let's go ahead and jump into a game on PTCGO I recently played, and we can see the deck in action. Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and flip the coin. Looks like we lost the coin flip, unfortunately, so we are going to be going second. Looking at my opening hand, it's not too bad here. I can start with Trubbish. I've got the Trash Lynch Garbodor. As long as Brigette isn't prized, I should be able to Ultra Ball for Tapu Lele, use its ability Wonder Tag, and search out the Brigette. And I should be getting the 2 Trubbish and Drampa more than likely. So hopefully that will go according to plan. I'm not sure exactly what my opponent's playing, but we're about to find out here. And I will take that mulligan as well. So I see a Mew-EX, which is pretty interesting, a Fire Energy, and a Professor Sycamore. So we're going to see what he has here. I see a Rare Candy. So some kind of Stage 2 deck featuring Mew. Okay, we see a Cyndaquil, so it looks like it's going to be one of those Typhlosion decks. And if you're not sure what Typhlosion does, I believe for a single energy, it does 80 times the number of fire that's discarded. You have to actually mill the top 5 cards of your deck, so it could do up to 400 damage, hard to say, but you're kind of burning through your deck rapidly, hoping to hit big damage. So that is a bit of a worry for us, because if he has a Choice Band, that means 2 of the fire energy plus a Choice Band would be 190, which is enough to knock out pretty much anything we have on the board. But, you know, as I'm rambling here, you can see that I was able to grab the Brigette. I go ahead and get the Trubbish, the Drampa. We have a pretty good setup here. I see Teammates is in the deck. We don't really have a whole lot of really good cards prized. And I'm probably just going to attach the Drampa and pass here, because I can afford to let the Trubbish get knocked out. So we'll just have to see what happens here, what kind of hand he has. He attaches to the Cyndaquil. And what is he going to do at this point? We see another Mew come down and a Lysandre. Oh, Mew is going to use its versatile ability, and he's Righteous Edge. So Mew can actually use the attacks of anything on the board as long as it has the energy. And so it was able to Righteous Edge that DCE away. So that is a huge pain, because now I'm going to have to manually attach twice just to get an attack off. Now, the plus side is that Mew is weak to Psychic, so if I can manage to get a Psychic energy on the Garbodor, I think it has just enough items in the discard to go ahead and get that knockout. So I probably want to check that discard just to make sure, but I'm pretty confident he's used Ultra Ball, Rare Candy, all that stuff. So I Trash Lynch just enough for that knockout. The math was perfect, get the first 2 prizes, and so I would say that Garbodor is going to have a pretty prominent role in this matchup, simply because it can hit that Mew for weakness and take those cheap prizes. So Rare Candy comes down, there goes the Typhlosion. He doesn't even have a hand, but he uses Massive Eruption, and he discards 5 energies, so there goes 800 damage on that Garbodor. That is ridiculous. So I don't really have... Alright, I have the Trash Lynch Garbodor and a Rainbow Energy, so I guess technically I can respond and get another knockout. And then I have to kind of worry about this Typhlosion, because it only gives up 1 prize, and it's also kind of one-shotting my things along the way as well. Now, something I probably should have done here was Ultra Ball and get another Trash Lynch Garbodor, because the problem is that it's really opening up that play where he ends main at 2, and I can't really get anything I need. So probably a misplay on my part. I should have went ahead and got the Trash Lynch Garbodor just to be safe, because if this one's knocked out, I am in some trouble. So we're going to have to see what he does here. Typhlosion, it has the energy, and there we go. We see the N. I think he probably top decked it or got it out of his prizes or something, but... it doesn't look like it really affected me too much here, because I got a Professor Sycamore off of that. So, but he needs to keep setting up those Typhlosions. Otherwise, I'm probably going to win in the long run. I'm already up by 4 prizes, and we see a Massive Eruption, and he gets 3 energy. So as you can see here, he has 13 energy in the discard, and it looks like he's probably not even done yet. He's probably playing 20 plus energies here. So instead of playing the Professor Sycamore, I'm actually going to use the Teammates, because I'm searching for a couple cards myself right now. I'm not really sure how many items he has in the discard. Maybe a Garbodor and an Energy would be a solid play here. I'll have to check and see how many energy are in his discard. But yeah, it looks like I'm actually opting to just kind of retreat and pass. So again, in hindsight, maybe I'm not really sure how many items he's actually played. Maybe it's under the 8 energy or the 8 items I actually need. But we see another N, so that's going to be disrupting my setup here. And so I'm not really sure what to do at this point. He's taken some prizes here. You know, I could bring up the Tapu Lele, since it would need 3 energy to retreat out, or 3 energy for the Typhlosion to take the knockout. But I grab an Ultra Ball, and I guess the best play here would be to grab the Tapu Lele, but it does put me in a weird spot because at this point I need a Float Stone and a DCE to get a knockout. So, you know, maybe I should have promoted the Drampa with the damage on it instead, since it has free retreat with that Float Stone, because it puts me in a spot where I have to draw exactly what I need. And as you can see here, I kind of whiffed on that Float Stone, so a bit bad on my part. But I think I should probably... I'm debating about whether or not the Trubbish should go down, just in case. But Trubbish is a really cheap knockout, so I'm not really sure what to do here. I think if I attach to Tapu Lele, it's pretty safe because I'm spreading my energy out that way. If I put the DCE on Drampa and simply pass, he can just Lysandre it up. If he discards 3 energy, or if he discards 2 with a Choice Band, he knocks me out. So I think I don't know, the Trubbish would be a nice security because it hits with 1 energy, but either way we can see how it would go here. So we see another Candy Typhlosion, which isn't good news for us. That means he'll be able to keep using that Massive Eruption attack. And it's powered up as well. So he uses it, and he only discards 1 energy, and that's great news for us because now I can attach, I can retreat to the Drampa, and honestly, I can just keep burning through cards. I can just maybe Wonder Tag for the Sycamore. Let's just keep drawing cards, get rid of useless cards we don't really need anymore. And maybe we can draw into the Trash Lynch Garbodor. It looks like we do whiff it, unfortunately. We draw into 3 Choice Bands, which isn't even good because if I attach it to something, kind of a liability if it gets Lysandred up. So I'm just going to go for the Berserk. A couple Pokemon on my bench are damaged, so it's going to be the knockout. And at this point, it all comes down to this Typhlosion. Now he's going to need 3 Fire Energy discarded. He's already discarded probably 16, 17 energies. He had 3 on the board, so that's 20 energies. So he's really going to have to depend on this to get the knockout. And he's probably deciding, you know, what should I promote? What should I do here? And I think all he can really do is hope for the Massive Eruption. Otherwise, he can't really do much. If he can't get 3 down, he pretty much loses. He only hits 1, so Berserk is going to get the knockout. And there we go. My opponent does concede because he realizes there's no way out. So, yeah, a huge finish here thanks to Berserk. It's doing a lot of damage. You can see how Tord really took it to victory here to the first place internationals out of 1,300 plus players. So, yeah, that should pretty much wrap the video up. Huge congratulations to him. His massive spoils. I think the international winner actually got $10,000 as well as so many booster boxes and stuff like that. That amazing trophy. So big shout out to him and John Kettler as well. So that's going to wrap up the video, guys. If you liked it, give me a big like. Subscribe to our channel. We're aiming for 2,500 subscribers this summer or more. So I would greatly encourage that. And then lastly, like us on Facebook at Top Deck Nation if you want the latest updates on competitive Pokemon TCG coverage. But in the meantime, this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video as always.